All right, I've got a question today rather than a piece of advice, so it's a little bit of a change. Quite often I sit here and I talk about happiness. This is the World Class Happiness channel, so I quite often talk about happiness and maintaining happiness and mindset and all those types of things. Today I'm going to talk about martial arts, which is, again, that's not that unusual that I talk about martial arts because I am a martial artist and have been for many years. But I want to ask you a question today. Because you may have the answer, you may have a different opinion to me, and I'm interested in what your opinion may be on the subject. Okay, now the question is this. Which martial art do you think is the most valuable martial art for your life? Okay, now that's a different question to the one that you may have been asked before, which possibly has been, which is the best martial art in terms of winning a fight? All right, now that is a question, that's an old question. That's a question that's been asked for decades, maybe even hundreds or even thousands of years. Which style of combat is better than another? And that was the reason why the UFC was formed, and just to kind of have those questions answered. And we kind of felt for a time that those questions were answered when perhaps Royce Gracie in the first UFC event come in and kept his distance long enough to then shoot in and take somebody down to the floor and then arm lock or strangle them. And he was doing this against decent strikers, and we all kind of maybe at that time assumed that BJJ or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was the best martial art in the world, and it would beat all the other martial arts. And that was kind of the thinking back then. Since then MMA has evolved a lot. The wrestlers came in and started being more physical and too physical for the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighters to a certain extent, and knowing enough to maybe not get submitted, but being able to be on top because they were taking the Jiu-Jitsu guys down and maybe sort of like, learning a bit of ground and pound. So they maybe got on top for a bit. And then we had some strikers who were learning takedown defense, and they were obviously then able to stop wrestlers from taking them down, and they were able to knock people out. And it kind of, martial arts or mixed martial arts has evolved a lot over the years. So that question is kind of ongoing, really, and it still is to this day. The martial art that I do, or that I did ever since I was a kid, since I was 4 years old, which is Judo, that had its time in mixed martial arts as well. We had Ronda Rousey come in, and she was throwing people and then turning them over for like a judo type arm lock and arm locking people. And for a time, everyone was thinking that judo was the thing. And they've all taken their turn to a certain extent. Now, that continues to evolve. But the question that I'm asking today really is, which is the most valuable for your life? And there's many different areas in your life that it could improve and add value to, meaning it could be good for self-defense, it could be good for your confidence, it could be good for your flexibility, and again, just all sorts, fitness and well-being and stuff like that. I want to know which martial art maybe is better for people my age, 42, and people who are older, 62, 72, kids, ladies. You might have different opinions on which martial art is best for which type of person, which is better for confidence, which is better for all sorts of things. Okay, so I did judo since I was 4 years old. Never got bullied at school. I had a bit of a reputation to an extent growing up, not because I was a big, hard, tough man. It was because I was in the newspaper quite a lot for winning events. I was quite a small kid, to be honest. I wasn't a bully, and I was at school and never really had any problems at all. And I think that was because there was easier targets. I never made myself a target, and I never had any problems in terms of bullying. So that, for me, judo kept me out of trouble because I think I had enough confidence in myself that I kind of come across in a way that I didn't make myself a target. Whether I was actually big enough and strong enough at that point to maybe handle everyone, I don't know. But I obviously, like I said, I knew enough and I had a reputation big enough for people to kind of maybe leave me alone. Now, in terms of confidence as an adult, you know, I then got into a couple of little street type situations, which were different from being at school. I did have a couple of little kind of playground fights, if you like, when I was a kid, and my judo got me out of trouble. As an adult, it becomes a little bit more serious when I got in a couple of situations, and then, like, you know, you've then got, instead of meeting somebody on the school field for a fight, you know, you've then got maybe 3, 4, 5 guys who are maybe trying to start on you, and then you've got the situation possibly where people are pulling knives or even pulling guns and stuff like that. And then judo is kind of fairly irrelevant, as is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in that case, really. And even things like boxing, you know, then in that case, and mixed martial arts even, in that case, are you then looking at something like some of the self-defense systems like Krav Maga or Krav Maga, however you pronounce it? Is that going to give you more confidence? Is that going to give you more tactical awareness on the streets and stuff like that? Is that going to kind of give you more idea on real life sort of street situations? You know, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I've never done that. I've never done a lot of different martial arts. I've never done any. I did a bit of taekwondo when I was 8. Other than that, and judo and mixed martial arts, I haven't done anything else. I've never done karate. I've never done kung fu. I've never done some of the other ones that maybe I've got no real idea on what is involved in the actual martial art. Like, say, for instance, Hapkido, and you know, there's all sorts of different ones that kind of seem to have appeared from nowhere, and I don't actually really know what's what and whether it's good, and what, you know, whether there's more grappling or more locks or more strikes or a combination. I don't really know. Obviously, I've got a lot of respect for like the combat sports that are maybe not classed as martial arts, like your boxing and your wrestling. Got a lot of respect for those. But again, you know, if you do things like boxing or mixed martial arts, they kind of come with a bit of a reputation with them. You know, you kind of have that thuggish tag to them, rightly or wrongly. You know, you have that tag attached to that is kind of like, you know, maybe you're the wrong side of the tracks to a certain extent. And like I said, that is possibly quite often misplaced. Yeah, there's a lot of good people who do those martial arts, and I can vouch for that myself. I know that from experience. But that does come with that kind of bit of a shady reputation. So, you know, what's best for kids? What's best for ladies? What's best for how you feel? Like, obviously, people talk about Tai Chi and stuff in terms of like relaxation and stuff like that. Again, that's something I've never looked into or know anything about, so I wouldn't have any kind of opinion at all on that. I don't know. You tell me. In terms of like confidence and being able to kind of cope with general life, judo is superb. For, you know, because I've obviously had a lot of experience with judo. At the moment in the UK, we're going through obviously still the coronavirus situation, the pandemic. We're in lockdown 3 or 4, I can't remember now, I lost count. And, you know, I see on social media all the time, friends and people I'm not so close to, they're struggling big time, whether it be with money because people can't work at the moment, and struggling financially. I've never had any problems with that really, because I'm used to it, to be quite honest, because as a judo player, that kind of goes with the territory to a certain extent. You know, that's not a martial art where you tend to earn a lot of money, and a lot of high level judo players are used to kind of scrimping and saving and you know, making their money go a longer way. So that hasn't been so much of a problem for me, or, you know, nor as things like the homeschooling. I've seen people struggling with the homeschooling, and people struggling with their mental health all different types of things that people are struggling with during this situation. And you know, for me, judo has helped me out with a lot of situations, a lot of problems, because judo, for those of you who don't know what judo's about, it's actually a grappling martial art, or it's very similar to wrestling, except you've got a judo suit that you can use to grip onto to throw your partner flat on their back. Okay, and the idea is to throw them, hold them down, or arm lock or strangle them. And I've spent my whole life since I was 4 years old getting thrown and getting back up, getting thrown, getting back up. The whole thing is about standing back up and getting on top of your partner, and you know, being the most physical, clever, more kind of tactical, having the best strategy to kind of overcome problems, and that's really what's going on at the minute with this pandemic. So for me, that's really helped me out in that respect, and you know, and also in terms of fitness wise, judo, along with probably wrestling, boxing to an extent, they're some of the hardest sports in the world. So in terms of fitness, they're awesome. And you know, you could sort of argue for some of the martial arts such as karate and taekwondo, and some of those in terms of flexibility. I've been doing a bit of yoga recently and realised that I'm really stiff and should have been doing yoga a lot earlier than I am now, and you know, maybe some of those martial arts have been really good for that. So I think there's different elements to each martial art that will give you some sort of value, but the question that I'm asking today really is, if you could only pick one martial art or combat sport, or self-defense system, whatever, which one do you think is best overall? Which one would you pick? And that's my question, and I want you to answer it in the comments, and maybe we'll make another video later on to possibly excuse me, possibly kind of come back with some answers, and maybe give you some feedback on it. I very much doubt we're going to get any definite answers. I think we're just going to get a big debate and lots of toing and froing, but I'll be interested to see what you say. So yeah, I'll do another video another time, and see you on the next one. Cheers.